Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, I'm Mark, and it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between. It's Tuesday night, it's 7:30. That can only mean one thing.
It's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate.
And tonight I have a new apprentice, which is a colourful bunny apparently. It's got much more personality than George.
Only joking.
Let's get Jamie in.
Change location again.
I haven't.
No, we have. We're in the pond tunnel again now. Jamie,
Now
did
we
you like
start.
the new assistant?
I missed it, to be honest. I was getting my glasses.
There was a new assistant.
Very nice.
Asks better questions than George.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Talking about
Easy.
questions,
Easier ones.
don't forget about the garden question.
How can I?
You're a bit smart tonight. What's going on?
No, I'm not. Just because I ain't got my
Now,
work
Judy
jumper on,
said-
I mean.
Judy said by night. Judy said by night because
You've not been working?
I've got work trousers on, just a different T-shirt.
Ooh.
Anyway, let's talking about appearances. Who was that? Who was you trying to masquerade as the other day?
What, without my hat on?
I know.
Shocking the world.
Oh my God, I bet so many people said I didn't even look like you.
My show disguise. Just don't wear a hat.
I literally had to replay that because the volume went on because I didn't hear you, and put the volume on and make sure it was you because I thought that does not look like Mark.
I've been replaced by AI.
yeah. What are you talking about? The pictures?
No, when I put on the video of the compost.
Or like?
Because it was through the garden gate and I didn't have my hat on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
Nobody knew who I was.
like Seth Rollins.
It's funny, isn't it? You see what football kit George is wearing today?
Come on, Lincoln.
Lincoln City, who got promoted.
Did they? To what?
They got promoted at the championship.
So the one below the Premier League.
They're in the Championship next year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are they? Wow. Be playing Norwich in.
First time in 65 years
Wow.
in that division.
Even longer than Newcastle not winning the trophy.
Alright.
Maybe you'll start
Which
supporting your local team then.
They won't because
You support both anyway, don't you, George?
yeah, support these guys and Newcastle, and then we can't talk about England because England have been rubbish lately.
What's the subject of the garden question this week then?
It's definitely not flowers because
Not flowers?
nope.
Is it vegetables?
Yeah.
Oh, it's vegetables.
Yeah. But what are you pretending not to know, Mark? You know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
You
No,
know
he
the
doesn't.
answer.
No, he doesn't.
I've been at work all day.
He's been at work. He's been at work while I did the gardening question. He was at work, so
Yeah, whatever.
he didn't pay. I didn't pay him £5 to look at the question. True or false? True or false game today. The word asparagus means sprout in Greek. True or false?
50-50.
It is a
It's
50-50.
50-50.
I don't know.
Wonder if we're both going to go opposite. Ready?
Yeah.
Go. I've gone true. Jamie's gone true. So we're either both right or both wrong.
And both of you are correct.
Yay! There you go. Sprout.
Answer true. The Romans and Greeks have harvested wild asparagus as far back as 2000 BC.
Wow.
Wow.
That is a long time ago.
Very good.
4,000 years.
And I wonder why your mum decided that question then.
because you've got asparagus.
And also, my mum said, well, the asparagus, and it was either going to be asparagus or rhubarb, and I said rhubarb, but no, asparagus, because they're the two biggest things that are grown well lately.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Although mine's only just started coming up.
Mine has as well. They're only like that. There's only 3 of them.
Dad, and there was this other question that I was wondering about. That was like, how many hours does asparagus need to grow well? And it was 6 hours.
6 hours of sunlight.
6 hours straight of daylight to get it well, to make it grow well. So, and there was also this question that I was wanting to go for, but
very good questions, George.
We'll save them for next week.
What?
Save them for next week.
Yeah.
All questions are good questions.
Yeah. And the special visitor came to school.
The Easter Bunny.
Today?
Yep, Easter Bunny.
Oh. How many chocolate eggs did you get then?
Only one.
No, you got more than one.
Oh yeah, about 1,000 probably. What?
Anything else?
Oh yeah, Hamilton's an escape artist.
Oh no.
Like when me and Mummy got him out when he was down near the house where the Jabber is, down there, all the way down there. He kept just hiding. He just kept hiding in the plants, and Mummy had to keep getting them out because we didn't know if those plants were poisonous to him or not. So.
Oh yeah. Right, okay.
Apparently, leopard tortoises like hiding.
Yeah, and it makes them feel more like safe.
They live in the undergrowth.
Because in the wild, they would have people's shadows. They would think was prey.
Mm-hmm.
Or a predator. So they would go into hiding or just run. Well, / walk.
Or go.
Yeah, they would go like that. So then it's just like, Jamie, tortoises when they do that, it makes predators think that they're just a rock.
Yeah. Good, aren't they? Brilliant.
Yeah.
Clever animals.
Yeah,
They are. Clever.
Very clever. I was watching somebody's reels the other day and she had a tortoise around her feet and I said, how the hell do you not stand on it?
I know.
I do sometimes.
I swear I nearly stepped on it yesterday. I was like this and then Mum was like, don't. Yeah.
Yeah, scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they can move a bit quicker than you think though, can't they?
Yeah, they're so small, which means that you can't really see them. But also, when they want to be, they can go really fast.
They are quicker.
Yeah, they are. Definitely.
He's not as big as Jonathan, though, is he?
No, Hamilton's about the size of my hand.
Well, Jonathan's the oldest living animal in the world.
Who's Jonathan?
Jonathan. It's a tortoise. He's over 200 years old.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow.
He's not as big as Jonathan.
No.
Yesterday, when we went to the zoo, there was a tortoise, and it wanted to go in like the corner bit, but there was like logs and stones blocking it, and it had to, and it tried to climb over, and then it got like, and then it was like, oh, I've changed my mind, I can't do it.
That was a bigger tortoise.
Yeah, that was it's literally about that.
Big.
Wow.
Looks like a rock.
That'll be the size of Hamilton when you're about 90.
So Hamilton will only grow up to be about that big. It won't be as big as like.
Depends if you keep feeding him big stuff. Might get bigger. Give him some chocolate.
That would kill him, Dad.
Fair enough. Right, off you go then.
And he's only allowed plants anyway, so.
See you later. Thanks for that.
Hey, George.
See you next week. Been outside most of the day. It's been outside like 5 hours.
Good. It's been a beautiful day.
Yeah. Felt like
really
it's ridiculous.
It's been lovely.
Almost a bit too warm to be working in.
Exactly. Yeah. Hot. It's been. You could actually say, "Oh, it's actually hot."
Yeah. It's supposed to be 25 degrees on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, it's going to get even worse. Well, can't say worse. Even hotter.
Well, I've
It was hot, and
probably,
I was sowing some seeds yesterday in the greenhouse, and I had to come out. It's just too hot.
well, I had to water the polytunnel at work twice yesterday,
Yeah,
today, because it was dry again by the time
yeah. I've done it twice as well. It's mental. I've got loads of seeds on the go.
Yep, I did loads at the weekend.
Loads and loads.
Did lots of cosmos, and I've got lots of veg on the go as well.
I did some cosmos the other day, last week. Some helichrysums, other straw flower, and loads of different veg. Have you seen my snail thing video?
Yep.
Tried them. See what they're like.
What have you done in that?
All veg.
All veg.
Yeah.
I ran out of time last night. I was going to sow some parsnips and some carrots direct.
I've done some of them yesterday as well. A couple of rows of each.
Just ran out of time because I had to bunny-proof the plants that I put in because I put some peas in and some beans.
Oh yeah.
So I better wire them up, otherwise they'll be gone tomorrow.
Mm.
The bunnies are hungry.
Yeah. I had quite a few people say about them snail things about it's not worth it, but it's not. It's the space which I'm thinking about, not anything else. Here I've got trays and trays and trays. It's just the space. If you can get 30 seedlings in that size,
yeah, less compost,
less space. Somebody said, "Oh, they dry out really quick," but I can't see how they do really, because it's plastic. But I would say,
Well, you can only try it. If it doesn't work,
exactly.
It doesn't work for you.
Yeah, it's only a few seeds in an old compost bag.
Yeah. It's always worth trying new things. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Every other, I know the whole Instagram thing is nobody shows the failures, but every other one I've seen, it's been brilliant. It's worked really well.
Yeah. Well, it's a really deep space for the roots to go, because if you think
it's like a root trainer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real deep.
I've done mine about 5 inches, so it's it's like a root, or even growing in toilet rolls.
Yeah.
So you've got a nice, brilliant. I can't see how it's not going to work, to be honest.
Almost like a root trainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the mice can't get in there either.
Helps them hydrate in the plastic. That's what I mean. And I can just
stick the whole thing in a tray as well, and then
they're in a tray, so I just put some water in the bottom, and that just sucks it straight up.
That's never going to dry.
I've got 6 of the actual snail thingamabobs in one tray, so that's 6 different varieties of vegetables I'm growing in one tray.
And how many seeds can you get in each snail?
I think I've got about 25, 30.
It's no brainer then, is it?
Yeah.
Makes pricking out easier as well, because you literally
exactly. And that, I know everybody says, "Oh, I love pricking out." I hate it. That's the only job I hate in the garden. I'm too clumsy. My hands are too big. I just get too frustrated with it.
Well, that you're not even having to disturb the roots, because it's not going to be tangled in with anything else.
You just unroll it, pick them up, and put them on.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see in a couple of weeks. See what's happened.
Indeed.
Might be a game changer.
Maybe I need to give it a go.
Yeah, I can't see why. I think it's going to work.
It's whether the garden companies can somehow make it into a product.
I've already been thinking about that.
Everybody will be like, "No, we can't do that because it's you just need a bit of plastic. We can't sell that."
Bit of plastic, 2 pieces of string, and some compost.
Reusable many times.
Exactly.
And it's a piece of compost bag, so it's like it's even anything new.
It's going to go in the bin. Can't even be recycled.
No.
Yeah. Good. Well, I want to talk about houseplants. I do.
Should be interesting. So tonight's guest is probably to blame for us having a podcast because her podcast, On the Ledge, was the first gardening podcast I ever listened to. She is a houseplant expert and author of 3 books, a freelance journalist, regularly featuring in The Guardian, Financial Times, Gardens Illustrated and the RHS magazine. What Jane doesn't know about houseplants isn't worth knowing. Let's get her in. It's Jane Perrone. Hey,
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, very good. What about yourself?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, been enjoying the sunshine, doing a little bit of pottering in the garden, a little bit of houseplant maintenance. So yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah, it's been fantastic there, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so good, so good. And I perhaps more than anyone else I know, love hate the winter and love the summer. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. Hang on, I've just realised I think my phone's about to chuck me out of this chat. If I suddenly disappear, I'll come back. But I think I might have my blocker set, so it might chuck me out in a minute. But if I do, straight away. You're trying to keep me off Instagram. That's the trouble. But yeah, so I've been enjoying the sunshine, and as ever though, the list of tasks just keeps getting longer. It's not getting shorter as I do stuff. It's getting longer. So that's got me for you, isn't it?
I think with that list, you can't write it down because you'll never get to the bottom of it.
No, I know, and I make that mistake of thinking, oh yeah, I'll make a note of it, and then you start just thinking, no, it's going to get longer and longer, which is not a good attitude because you've got to just take these. Then you get discouraged and you think,
Oh, hello, hello, Mark, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh.
I think Jane's being kicked out by her own Instagram. Oh no,
I'm back.
you're back.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I don't know if I swore there. I was just frustrated. I turned my Instagram blocker off, but it obviously had decided it was in a particularly evil mood today. So I've been outside in the garden. I haven't even been on Instagram, so I don't know why that is. But anyway, but yeah, the list is ridiculous. The list is truly ridiculous, and my garden has been really badly neglected in the past year. So there's a lot to do. But yeah.
We're all the same. We're all the same. Don't worry.
Well, and also what I have to remember is every time I look at a picture of my garden from the past, I always go, "Oh, that is so nice. That looks really nice. And why was I worried? Like it's fine." But yeah, I've just got to. It's all as in most things in life. It's all in the head as to how you perceive it, and that's the challenge. Is trying to sort of to get it all in proportion and remember that it's not the Chelsea Flower Show, right? It's just
Definitely.
space that you're using. So yeah.
I was out in the garden yesterday, in the back garden, not the allotment, and I had a look around and thought, I've normally weeded and tidied and mulched by now, but I haven't done any of it.
Yeah.
It will happen. It will happen.
Yeah, exactly. Or if it doesn't happen, what's the worst that's going to happen if it doesn't happen?
Weeds are just going to take over and get even worse and worse and worse.
Yes. I mean, something good might come out of it. You might realise you really love bindweed. Who knows?
I have got bindweed, and it's the worst thing in the world. It's horrendous.
I don't think I've got bindweed in my garden. I'm the only person in the world who had ground elder, and then I wanted to see what it tasted like, so I picked it, and it never came back. I must be the only person in the world that's actually managed to. Although I have now got ground elder again, which came in in a plant that somebody gave me, which is always a lovely gift.
Oh.
Yeah, free ground elder, thanks. Actually, my garden is extremely dry, so things like that could go mad, like ground elder, yes, I'll have it, but it never really goes bonkers because my garden is just so dry that things like that don't ever, as long as you're pulling them regularly, they can't really take over, which is the one good thing about having a super dry garden. So
yeah,
not
definitely.
too bad.
as long as the plants that you plant in your super dry garden like the dry, they should
Yeah.
thrive more than the plants that the weeds
Well,
do.
I'm finally learning after about 15 years of what actually does grow, because I remember when I first got here and like not really knowing how dry the garden was, and I'm like, oh yeah, hydrangea, I'm gonna have hydrangeas. No, you're not, Jane. They're gonna just die. So stupid. So now I'm realizing what actually works. I mean, even my tulips, which, you know, we've had quite a wet winter. I've incorporated a lot of homemade compost into my garden. All my tulips have wilted because they're just too dry, and I refuse to water things that aren't in containers, because that's mad. That way madness lies, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And so the tulips are all drooping today, but you know, you've just got to roll with the punches, right? I've got to make the whole thing a gravel garden, basically. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. I've got a giant fennel though that is really, there was a tiny seedling last year that is really coming on nicely, and I think my whole the big border in my garden is just going to be one massive giant fennel, I think, eventually, which is quite hey.
Once you've got it,
Does really well. You were talking about asparagus. The other thing that does really well in my garden, I have tried to grow asparagus, doesn't really grow, but I have got Bath asparagus, which is a British native that does really well in dry, sunny, well-drained conditions. And the flower spikes you can use as substitute for asparagus. And I have a lot of that.
ooh,
Wow.
good.
What was that? Bath? Did you say Bath asparagus?
Bath asparagus, Ornithalgum pyrenaicum.
Oh, right. I'll remember Bath asparagus.
Yeah, Bath asparagus grows really well in my garden, and it's just a really like, it's a really nice, and it still makes your wee smell amazingly. Totally different species, not related closely to regular asparagus, but it must have the same chemical compounds to make it smell. So, yeah, top tip.
My asparagus bed is only literally about 6 or 8 weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I've been watching, you know, like you do when you plant something new and you keep going back every day and having a look and have a look. And then all of a sudden the other day I went, oh my God, I spotted it, because I was weeding it, because once I've dug the trenches, I've disturbed every single weed seed and chopped up every bit of couch grass, and it's just coming up like, oh my God, It's horrendous. So I was weeding it, and all of a sudden I stopped dead and went, oh, that's an asparagus spear. I went, oh, brilliant, it's happening.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. It is a really good feeling. But yeah, normal asparagus I have tried. Now I have like one sprout, one stem that comes up, and I'm like, oh, should I harvest that? And then I'm like, no, I'm just going to leave it and let it flower, because it's literally one stem that survived. But yeah, the Bath asparagus is great. So that's a very good substitute, actually. And it doesn't mind what happens in my garden, which is getting like overwhelmed by lots of other plants, and it isn't bothered by that. So it's quite a good one, really. Yeah, I recommend.
Bath asparagus is on my list. I'm going to get some just in case mine only puts one spear up.
Yeah,
like yours.
It's quite a pleasant. You could have it in an ornamental border. It's quite a pleasant looking plant. So yeah, it's sort of, if you don't pick those flower spikes, they turn into quite pretty sort of starry flowers that look a bit like alliums. So it's actually quite a nice one. But as I say, if you had heavy clay, I don't think it would work. It needs that really free draining soil. So
yeah, we're very, very free draining here. A little too much sometimes. It gets a bit annoying, but
yeah,
can't have it. You can't have it always.
You can't have it always, indeed. I mean, I'm in a tiny little pocket, because where I live in Bedford is mainly clay, but my little pocket near the river is just a pocket of very free draining soil. I guess that's what happens with geology. You know, these things happen where you get a little pocket. And so yeah, I'm on this front doorbell. Who's that? Oh, it's probably my son. Sorry, doorbell going off. It's all right, somebody else will get it. Yeah, so I'm in this very free draining pocket, but everyone else in Bedford's like, well, your garden can't be really dry, we're on clay. And I'm like, well, yeah, you are, but my little corner of the town is not. So there you go. Garden to garden, everything changes. But yeah, it's I mean, and that's one of the joys of houseplants, that, you know, you can set your own conditions when it comes to substrates, not so much with the other things that we're sort of thinking about. But yeah, you can make your own substrates.
Yeah.
Choose.
So I'm not very houseplanty at all. I've got a few aeoniums which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I took some cuttings of a Tradescantia a couple
Yeah.
of years ago. Really bright, pinky purple,
Mm-hmm.
shiny, iridescent leaves, and they took really well. But that is about as far as I go with houseplants.
Okay.
But I want to get into them. I want to go deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what can I say? Well, I've actually got. You asked me to have a couple of things to have. So I've got the easiest houseplant of all. I don't know if you can really see this because it's a bit of a reflection, but I have here 3 marrow moss balls. Now, strictly speaking, these are not actually plants; they're filamentous algae. However, they are the easiest houseplant of all in that they will just sit and float up and down. You have quite light for them to go up and down. Actually, if they're in low light, they tend to just sit there. But they're really easy, and it's a bit like a sort of a living lava lamp. So that's one thing you could try.
So they float up and down with the light conditions, did you say?
Yeah, so it's to do with as they trap air bubbles in the inside the filaments, and that makes them then float, and then they sink and float and sink and float. So yeah, we need quite bright light to do that. So not everyone's balls will float. Some people's balls will just remain very much
dormant.
The jar. But so that's really the easiest houseplant of all. But they're a bit boring, not going to lie. Although I say that, and in my book,
do they grow?
Yeah, they do grow very slowly. So they come from various lakes, but the place they're famous for is in Japan. And I actually wrote a whole chapter on this plant in my book. And actually, they are really interesting when you get into the history of how the people around this lake, the indigenous people, Ainu people, have used this plant. It's quite interesting. But the Japanese have got a strange attitude to this. This thing, they have a character, a mascot called Marimo Kori, which is so Makori means erection or bulge. So basically, the moss ball, they get when you see this little mascot, which you can buy. There's a pull string toy of it, and you basically the pull string is the Marimo's, it is the bulge on this humanoid character that you pull to make big. It's all really weird. I don't know, but anyway, so there's quite a lot of interesting stuff. But just staring at it, I don't think you get a lot out of it. Really, it's quite boring. So that's sort of the very, very entry level kind of thing, I would say. I mean, what you can grow really just depends on what kind of environment your house provides. So really, I always say to people, the first thing to do is just to really look around your house and figure out how much light is coming in. And that's not just a case of like which way are the windows pointing. That's a big factor, but also how big are the windows. So if you've got, like my room where I've got a lot of plants is north facing, however it's got a glass roof on it, so of course it's just hugely more light than a room with a north facing room with tiny windows. It would be a different scenario. So you have a look at that, and you really generally want to be getting your houseplants closer to those windows than you think that they need to be, because they just need more light. People give them credit. On the whole, mostly that's the problem with houseplants, is they don't get enough light. That's basically it. Because I don't know if you remember studying this in your, I'm sure you did study this in your RHS qualifications. If you have them, I'm sure you do, with the law of limiting factors, right? So the law of limiting factors is the rules that apply to all plant growth, which basically tells you that there's different factors that tell you how much a plant's going to grow, and they're all related to one another. So it's no point having like tons of nutrients if there's not enough water, because the nutrients won't be able to get to where they need to be. And it's no point having tons of light if there's no water, and vice versa. So it's a bit like a sort of a puppet on a string where all these things are connected, and it's all got to work together in order for the plant to grow. And it's really the same as outside, except obviously inside you've got no rain, so you're not going to be able to just life isn't going to do you a favor and water your plants. You're going to have to do it. So yeah, that's what I was sort of say to people is light is really the key thing. And if you can get the light right, then the rest kind of all follows. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm really good with houseplants, or I'm really bad with houseplants. When you actually go to their house, you realize it's not that they're good, inherently good or bad. It's just they've got conditions or haven't got conditions in which they can thrive. So if you live in a thick walled, like ancient cottage with tiny windows that face north, you're going to be terrible at growing houseplants unless you have grow lights. And if you live in a modern or a 70s house, say, that's got huge windows, and like, you're probably going to find it a lot easier. So I always sort of try to sort of reassure people that it's often just the conditions that are the problem. But yeah, just try to grow things that work in your house and that you love and that you enjoy, and that's the main thing. And that may be totally different to what somebody else likes, and that's absolutely cool. So I've got a couple of plants to show you if you want me to.
Yes, please.
So my other real belief is that actually houseplants tend to grow a lot better if they are grown together. This is so heavy, this thing. Hang on, I've just got to rearrange here a little bit. So particularly with cacti and succulents, I think they look better and they thrive better. Provided you've got plants that like being together because they like similar conditions, you can do really nice things. So this is a planter that's got succulent plants in it. So as you can see, it's like a dish. I've done some holes in the bottom. It sits on a microwave glass tray. So that's a brilliant saucer, like free. I love free stuff. So I'd never spend money on these kind of things. So in here we've got a senecio, which is like a ivy look-alike. We've got a golden barrel cactus. We've got Sipelia, and we've got a jade plant, and we've got a little bit of string of pearls here. So this all does really nicely all together. It's really happy in this one container. Doesn't need watering very much because, as we all know, like if you've got a bigger pot, it dries out less quickly. So provided you've got the right mixture for your cacti and succulents, which needs to be really quite free draining, it does really well. So stuff like this I really love because I just think it makes my life so much easier. I think it looks nice. And you know, probably I'm going to need to at some point repot this, but actually it's quite maintenance free. So yeah, combine your houseplants together is a top tip, and then it saves you a lot of work, and you don't have that thing of what I call many pots syndrome, where you end up with about 50 million individual pots that all need watering, and you just get overwhelmed. So that is my first top tip. Do you like the look of that? Do you think
that looks really nice? Yeah, really nice,
quite cool. And as I say, probably there I would have, otherwise I'd have like 6 individual pots which would have to water separately. I just chuck some water on this once in a while, and it's absolutely fine because it's in a.
So where do you keep that, Jane? Then is that near the window?
That is in my north-facing sunroof room, which it's on glass shelves, and it is under a grow light, not a particularly strong one because it's just one of those daylight under cabinet lights that you get in the kitchen. So it's not under a huge amount, but it's enough to keep this lot happy because it's quite light in there anyway because of the roof. And so that's just lives in there all year round. And in the winter, it's a little bit cool in there. So that's quite good for cacti and succulents. They like to be quite cool in the winter time. And it just sits there and does its thing. And eventually I will tear it all apart and redo it. But right now, it's actually looking pretty good. So yeah, I can take cuttings off things. I'll probably take some more cuttings of this senecio, but other than that, just let it get on with it, really. I mean, this cactus will eventually get too big, but this was actually one that my daughter was given, and it was one of these weird ones where they dyed it yellow. The bottom spikes are all yellow where it was, but it's all grown fine. So yeah, so it's yeah, I just love doing stuff like playing around with stuff like this because I think it's fun playing around with different colours and shapes, just like you do with an outdoor container, really. But yeah, if you've got containers that, you know, an old casserole dish or something, you can drill some holes in the bottom, get a microwave plate, stick it underneath. Bob's your uncle. You've paid nothing, and you've got a nice little arrangement. So I'm going to put this down. It's really heavy.
It looks heavy.
So are they all plants that you can get from a B&Q or somewhere, or you know, are they specialist?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would always recommend, if you can, I mean, probably the same as we'd say for outdoor gardening, if you can go to somebody who's a specialist, there are some benefits in that, because you can, especially if you're not, don't really know what you're doing. Sorry, I've got hay fever. I'm just going to have to blow my nose. You're going to get knowledge from them. They're going to help you buy stuff that works for you. If they've grown it themselves, it's probably going to be in the right substrate, which is important for the succulents, because a lot of people go so wrong there with buying stuff that's been mass produced that's in the wrong substrate. But then again, we all go to the supermarket and we all have an impulse buy now and again, and it happens, and it's absolutely fine. It's just the nature of being interested in plants. Sometimes you see something, you think, oh, that's a bargain, I'm going to have it. I would say, though, that about 3/4 of my collection is just from plants I've swapped with other people or bought as cuttings. I hate spending money on plants. So I try to encourage people to do lots of swaps. And another thing I do on the podcast is a sow along, where I encourage people to grow houseplants from seed. So I think there's different things you can do to keep the price down, because very easy, like outdoor gardening, to spend a lot of money in a short amount of time on houseplants, as people did during the pandemic, and then realised they didn't have time for 300 houseplants anymore once they got back to their office. So yeah, it's a challenge. You know, it's a challenge, and you've got to find the right number of plants for you. And the right number of houseplants for you might be one, and that's okay. It might be 500, but it might be one. And you know, there's certainly an adjustment I've been going through in the last few years, that I felt like I've had too many plants, and I've had to, you know, get rid of some, give some away, get rid of things that weren't bringing me joy, just because I just didn't have the time to look after them. And I was saying the other day, I get really annoyed with people who say everyone's got set the same 24 hours in the day. No, I mean, literally, yes, obviously, but not in that, like, you know, somebody saying that to you, and no shade to whatever anyone's situation is, but you know, if you've got children, or you're a carer, or you've got different responsibilities to another person 2 doors along, then you might not have the same amount of hours in the day for this kind of activity, you know. And so I think we have to sort of be kind to ourselves and say, you know, as we were saying earlier, you know, we've got to. We can't all have an indoor jungle, and neither should we. I mean, my house isn't a jungle. I have quite a lot of plants, and probably my husband would say too many, because he's always banging into them and things. But not every room is full of plants, because not every room's suitable. Plus, I live with 3 other people who are less interested in plants than I am. So they're very tolerant. But yeah, you just have to be a little bit sensible about it. And unfortunately, you know, like all horticultural things, occasionally there are moments where you go a bit mad and you end up buying, you know, too many of the same thing, and you know, the obsession kicks in. But you know, you work it out. What you actually want to grow.
So you mentioned sowing, growing from seed, houseplants from seed. So I always think of houseplants as being more tropically type plants.
Yeah.
Are they a lot harder to grow from seed? Do they germinate just as well as, you know?
I would say if you can grow tomatoes from seed, you can grow houseplants from seed. It's really no more difficult. It depends on what you're growing. So lots of people do grow tropical plants from seed. So it could be something like a Swiss cheese plant. That's possible to grow from seed. I have a Piscia, which is not very popular houseplant, but is a one of my favourite houseplants, which I grew from seed. I have cacti that I've grown from seed. The cacti are a little bit of a different protocol for them because they just take a very long time to get going. But with all the other ones, most of the other ones, as I say, like Strelitzias, Monsteras, growing them from seed is very much like growing tomatoes. You know, you just got to keep them warm and lots of light, and they will grow quite successfully. And so, yeah, as I say, it's not that hard. It has its as we know, growing from seed has its pros and cons. The pros being it's cheap. The cons being it's time consuming, and you end up with a lot of plants that you've then got to kind of shuffle around and try to, you know, especially if you're also growing veg as well, they're taking up the same, they're demanding the same space. But there's loads of different things you can grow from seed that are worth a try if you fancy it, and it's a really cheap way of getting started. Or offering houseplant seeds as packets, so it's quite easy to give it a try now. And I just find it really, really fun, and you learn, like with veg, you learn about those plants so much from growing them from seed. Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I'd recommend starting with cacti and succulents just because you can literally get like a takeaway dish and sow them in a takeaway, and it'll be about a year before they're ready to prick out. So it just sort of solved that problem of, oh no, all my tomatoes are on the window ledge. What do I do with these seeds? So yeah, that worked quite well actually. So yeah, lots of people who listen to the podcast have grown all kinds of things from seed as a result of the sow along. Cacti and succulents, as I say, palms, tropical plants. We did an episode on growing ferns from spores, which was really fun. Yeah, so the world's your oyster, really. But I always say to people, you know, there's no rules. So some people decide that they're not going to grow houseplants from seed. They're going to do some vegetative propagation. And I'm like, I'm not imposing any rules on you. If that's what you want to try, great, that's fine. So we have fun with that every year. And as I say, I've still got some plants that I grew quite a few years ago on the sow along that have done really, really, really well. So it's quite rewarding. And then you end up with lots of plants to give away. Just like when you're growing veg, you know, you'll end up with lots of plants that you can give away to other people when you realise you've got 25 of the same thing and you think, don't need 25 of these. Yeah, it is fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, constant. I needed some seed trays the other day, so I thought, well, I'll just prick out some tomatoes, which are from individual cell trays. And you got 12 in the cell tray, and when you put them into 12 4-inch pots, they take up a hell of a lot more space than that one little. So but it's the same every year.
I haven't grown any veg this year because I'm just like, actually, I just don't have the capacity this year. And but I'm looking forward to going to the plant sales. We've got some brilliant allotments. Well, our local allotments has a brilliant sale. I need to check when it is actually. It'll be coming up fairly soon, where they sell, you know, all bedding and veg they've grown. So I'll support that instead, and it's great. I mean, that's a really good thing to do. But yeah, I do think you learn a lot by growing from seed. You just end up with so many plants. That's the trouble.
Yeah, because you can never sow just 2 or 3 seeds. You have to sow the whole packet.
No, exactly. That's the thing. You need to get the full experience. And as I say, with houseplant seed, you do get the problem that some of them are really tiny. Some of the seed is really dust-like. So that's quite tricky because you can't just sow a small amount. You've just got to sow the whole packet. Otherwise, you don't know whether you've sowed it at all. So yeah.
I think that's the route I'm going to go. I'm going to try some seed sowing for my houseplants.
Yeah, I would say so. Chiltern Seeds has got quite a good range of seeds, houseplant seeds, and I think Unwinds has just started a houseplant seed range as well. But there's a few companies online. I mean, I always warn people about eBay seeds because there are a lot. On Amazon, you know, there's a lot of these like purple rose seeds, and you're like, purple rose seeds, really? So you have to be a little bit careful. But there are some good companies out there, and there's a list on my website of different places to try that offer interesting seeds. And also, if you're into cacti and succulents, I highly recommend the British Cactus and Succulent Society has a seed scheme, and the packets are really, really cheap. Like, I don't know, they might have gone up. It was 30p when I first joined. It's probably about like 60p now.
Oh,
but
wow.
it's great. So you can get cheap cactus seeds to try. And yeah, what have you got to lose, really?
Brilliant. You never think of growing cacti from seeds, do you? You just never ever do.
It's very
Strange.
cool. It's a really interesting process, and they're surprisingly, they can be really, germination can be a bit tricky, as I say, because especially when the seed's really tiny, you don't really know whether you've sown it or whether you've managed to cover it or not cover it. But when it works, it does work extremely well. And then you can, obviously the advantages of growing from seed, particularly with things like cacti, is you do get some genetic variation, so you can pick out the best looking seedlings and pick away the rest, or compost the rest if you've got loads. So you can really select the best. And also, just they've grown in your conditions from the very start, which is a really big bonus, because then they're your house. They haven't come from a computer controlled nursery and then suddenly hit your house and go, oh my god, I'm going to die now because you haven't got a perfect environment for me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
everything I've grown from seed has survived. Like, it's probably the easiest thing I've ever done in terms of growing houseplants, because they've grown in your condition.
What did you go for?
So I've done a aloe polyphyllum, is it? The one that's like spirally one?
Yeah.
I've got one of those that's about 4 years old now. I also did a Monstera Deliciosa from seed. Oxalis triangularis, that's kind of cheating because it's a bulb.
That's okay. But there's no rules in so long. There's no
exactly.
That's not, it's fine.
What else? I feel like there was what? Oh, the other thing that I did fail on was bat flower. But I think that was setting the bar quite high.
Yeah, I've never tried that, but I can imagine that could be quite tricky. I mean, there are, like all there's a whole spectrum. Like, obviously, if you're trying to grow something quite technical, then it doesn't always work. But sometimes things work that you're not expecting to, and vice versa. But yeah, as I say, when it's a price of a packet of seed, it's not like you've spent a lot on something really pricey, so you don't feel too bad. Even if, I mean, what's the highest price you've ever paid for a packet of seed? A £5? Like, that would be a ridiculously expensive packet of seed, wouldn't it? So yeah, you don't lose a lot if it goes wrong, which is good.
And another good thing is, I suppose, you can have a bit of an investigation of your house, your surroundings, what light you've got, etc., and then choose the seeds, the plants that go for that, and rather than buying a plant and it dying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you have got a lot of light, then cacti and succulents are great. Or if you're prepared to buy grow lights, then you get good light for them. And you can, if you don't, then you might be going for lower light levels. I mean, I've got a plant here which I think is good for lower light, which is a Perrone. This is quite a good plant for lower light conditions because it just sort of gets on with it. It's quite straightforward and easy. This one's just flowering at the minute, actually. But a Perrone is a good choice for a really tough plant that is hard to kill and will just deal with the low light quite easily. So yeah, if you pick carefully, hopefully you'll have success. But as I say, generally as a rule, if you can't read a book without the light on in a particular part of your house during the day, it's going to be too dark for the plants.
Right, yeah.
So that's the kind of my very basic rule. If you've got a light meter, fantastic, you can measure things properly. But if you can't read a book, that's a problem. The plant's going to really suffer. So yeah, that's worth bearing in mind.
So what about temperature then? Because something that I've always, whether it's right or not, I've said to people about having plants on windowsills in the winter, especially when you close your curtains.
Yeah,
it's lovely and warm in the room, but the temperature must drop massively behind the curtains.
Yeah, I mean, it can be an issue with some plants like begonias and things, foliage begonias. They don't really like that really cold temperature drop. I think now we've mostly got double glazing. I think it's better. I think it's less true, you know, like when I was a kid and you wake up in the morning and the inside the window would be all frosty. Like
Frosty.
we don't, maybe we do. So maybe we're back to that now with the crisis of cost of living crisis. But you know, I don't think it's so much of a problem. But yeah, if you've got plants that are trapped behind curtains at night, it can be a problem. In the winter time, you can obviously move them a bit away from the window, but try not to do that too much, because then obviously the light levels are going down. Most houseplants are surprisingly tolerant of cold. Out here where I am in my office, it gets down to about 10 degrees in the winter when the heating's just on you know, frost mode. And most things are okay with that, amazingly. But you know, there are a few things that would be unhappy with that. But if you're keeping your houseplants quite dry in the winter, as you should be, then that's that they cope with that a lot better. And the cacti and succulents actually really like it to be really cool in the winter. You know, they really appreciate a cool, dry rest, because that's what it's like where they come from. That's what they're experiencing in nature. So if you do have places that get down to pretty chilly at night, and they're bright and sunny, cacti and succulents are a great choice. I mean, people often struggle with conservatories, funnily enough. You know, they've got a south-facing conservatory. They're like, well, everything dies because in the winter it gets really cold, and in the summer it gets really hot. And you're like, you've got to have cacti. That's basically it. That's basically your choice, is cacti and succulents. But yeah, if you can match things to what you've got, then you'll waste a lot less money on replacing dying houseplants.
So what about when you see that I don't know the names of some of them, but some of the big leaved ones that are in the middle of the rooms, they obviously don't need quite as much as the ones that are near the windows then.
Yeah,
some of the, you know, really large, quite large plants.
It depends. Sometimes people buy things like bananas and strelitzias, the birds of paradise.
Yeah.
You know, like I often say to people, well, when you see someone with a nice plant, you have to say to them, how long have you had that plant for? Because the answer is often, oh, I've had it for a few months. And big plants will often be okay for quite a long time, but eventually that lack of light will get them. So again, eventually, if you've had a bird of paradise or a banana or something and it's away from a window, it will eventually start to suffer, especially in the winter. You can, I mean, I would recommend things like it's a bit old fashioned, but the Kentia palm is a really good choice. It's on the front cover of my book. There we go. Kentia palm, really good for low light, really popular Victorian plant. And Victorians didn't have much light, so they really liked that plant for their sort of palm courts. But even when I was researching the book, I found that they used to, if you had money enough to buy one of these Kentia palms, which were quite an investment at the time, people would send them on holiday to greenhouses for a month or so at various points in the year to kind of recuperate and get more light. So even these low light plants actually need more light than we think. But I've got a Kentia palm that's in my front room, which is about 8 foot away from a south facing bay window, so quite a light room but a long way from the light, and it's okay there. So yeah, generally plants, especially big plants, if you buy them, it'll be a while before they start showing the signs, but they will eventually start showing signs that they're not getting enough light by stunted growth, no growth, root rot caused by water sitting around the roots. Because when you've got that really low light, the plants aren't really photosynthesizing much because they're not getting much light, so therefore they're not using much water. You keep watering them every Sunday and the soil really claggy, and root rot follows, which is the worst case scenario, really.
Yeah.
Root rot.
Talking about holidays, Sissy's just said in the comments that she puts hers outside in the summer.
Yeah, you can do that. Absolutely fine for most houseplants. The thing where people go wrong is they think, oh yeah, look, it's a lovely sunny day and we'll put my houseplants outside. And it's like sort of, it's not a good idea to suddenly change the light levels that dramatically, because it really is a massive difference inside to outside. So if you do outside, start them off in the deepest shade right next to your house, and don't do it yet because it's still too cold for houseplants to go outside yet. So again, tomatoes are our guide. So when you're putting your tomatoes outside permanently, that's about the same time of year that houseplants can go out. Obviously, if it's a nice day like it was today and you've got a plant, you can, I mean, I did this today with some of my plants. You can bring them outside, make sure they're in shade, and you can wash them down, repot and stuff. But if you're leaving them out 24/7, you've got to really wait till, like, well, in my area anyway, end of May.
Yeah.
So that nighttime temperature is not too low. But they do love it. You just have to beware of things getting in, like talking about your aeoniums, vine weevil will move in, slugs and things like that. So when you bring them back in, you just need to be careful. You check for pests before you bring them back in, so that you're not bringing something inside that's going to have a bad effect on other plants. But yeah, it's a nice thing to do. The only trouble is then what happens is you put them all outside and then you buy more plants inside, and then hang on, I don't know what to do now. So
where are all these plants going?
Yeah, it's like Tetris. You've got to work out where things have got to fit. But yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I recommend doing that, especially with things like Christmas cactus really likes to go outside, and also things like staghorn fern really likes to go outside. You can hang that in a shady tree or something like that. So yeah, there are a few things that really benefit from that and really enjoy it, but just be careful of the sun.
Yeah.
No full sun.
No full sun.
No, because it's just, I mean, yeah, even a cactus that's been inside will just, it will just burn because it's acclimatized to, you know, to the lower light inside. Just like our skin, you get used to a certain climate, and then a sudden change will burn you. So yeah, just have to be a wee bit careful.
Good tip. Good tip. So let's talk about your books. Mark's mentioned them at the beginning, and you've mentioned them a couple of times. Yeah, talk to us about your books.
Well, so this is really, I mean, houseplant wise, this is my book, Legends of the Leaf, which there was a hardback edition. Yeah, you've got the hardback edition there, Mark, which is the original, the OG. I won't bore you with the details of what happened with my publisher, but anyway, didn't go well. Publisher went bust. So I've self-published now. This is the paperback edition, which is exactly the same, except it's got a new foreword in. And it's available everywhere in the world, which the first one was not. So this is just allowing everyone to get hold of it. So it's 25 iconic houseplants profiled. So it's care tips, but it's also stories. It's also how they grow in the wild, and fun stuff, and in some cases quite disturbing stuff about some of the plants and things they were used for. So yeah, that was a real absolute passion project for me, this book. I absolutely loved writing it. So yeah, if you want to sort of understand plant care and understand where I'm coming from, this is the book. And then I went on to write this book, which is a different kettle of fish, but sort of similar, The Atlas of Deadly Plants. So this is my latest book. So this is 50 deadly plants from around the world. And the thing that I think is really cool about this book is just the illustrations are good. So each plant's illustrated, and they're all a bit weird. There's some fungi in there as well. There's a fungus. It's all a bit weird and spooky, and sort of same principle, really. Look at the plant. How does it grow in the wild? How is it used by the people who live there? How has it been sort of, you know, described in the culture? But just, yeah, lots of interesting stories in there, and some salutary tales for people who think they know what wild garlic looks like, and it turns out they don't know what wild garlic looks like, which is at this time of year an actual risk. Like, you know, lots of people, I mean, I'm sure as plant people we probably would observe things about a plant. So we would observe, even if we don't know about monocots and dicots, we would look at a plant leaf and we'd go, all right, this has got parallel veins, or this has got a network of veins. And we'd be able to tell the difference between two similar looking leaves that had different vein patterns. But obviously if you're a forager and you're not, or you're a beginner forager and you're not that tuned in to looking at plants in that way, you might not notice the difference between wild garlic, say, the young leaves of the lords and ladies, which are in this book, which are really very often mistaken for wild garlic. So that it's something to think about when you're thinking about plants and foraging, because a mistake can be quite a serious one if you get it wrong. And yeah, there were lots of stories in the book about people being poisoned and living to tell the tale or not living to tell the tale. Yeah, so I mean, the other fascinating thing about the book is that you realize that almost all of the plants in the book, not quite all of them, but almost all of them, also have a medicinal use. So the old phrase, Paracelsus is saying, the poison is the dose. We do understand what that means, because I say in the book, you know, when you've got a headache, you don't think, well, I'm not going to take 2 paracetamol, I'm going to take 50 because that will really kill my headache. Fundamentally in your body that there's a dose, right? And you understand that. So the same goes for these plants, that sometimes it's the part of the plant that you're using is different, or sometimes it's the way it's prepared, or just the amount that you're taking that's going to impact how it's used. So yeah, it does give you pause for thought, I have to say, when you realise that some of these very poisonous plants are in our garden. For example, of course, the plant that's on the International Chemical Weapons Registry, which is, can you think what this might be? What plant do we grow? Common for ornamental horticulture. Municipal parks have a lot of it oftentimes.
Mark, is that what you gave me as a present last year? What was that one?
Monkshood?
Well, it could be monkshood, but I was thinking of Ricinus communis, the plant. So yeah, that is actually listed as a chemical weapon, because the you can produce ricin from the seeds, but you can still buy the seeds to plant in your garden, but it is very, very poisonous. So, and yeah, and yet they're planted in parks and people don't think anything of it because they probably have no idea.
What was the common name? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
The castor oil plant, right? Oh, okay. Communist. So it's got those big palmate leaves, and often the red forms you see in sort of, as I say, Victorian style planting in, like, by the sea. Yeah, I mean, it's quite an exotic looking plant, but again, like, you produce castor oil from the seeds as well, and that's one of the reasons why it's a dangerous plant, because there's all this byproduct of producing castor oil, which can then be turned into ricin if you
Oh my god.
Right, so that's a really, really interesting one. But yeah, monkshood's another one that I mean, again, genuinely, you do need to be careful with this plant, and you know, it's one of those ones that as gardeners we need to be able to spot, because it is really, really poisonous. And yeah, has been used in all kinds of illicit ways by different people. But yeah, you can do yourself harm as a gardener. Even, you know, you have to be. The RHS recommends that you wear gloves when you handle it, for example. It's that kind of level.
And my mate up there gave me one as a present last year.
I love it. Favorite flower. It's gorgeous.
I mean, it is gorgeous. I'll show you the illustration from the book. The illustration from the book is kind of epic. Let me see if I can find it. But it is. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So the illustration from the book is got suitably terrifying.
That's brilliant.
Wow.
So the reason why we've got the wolf's ears in that illustration is because it's associated with lycanthropy. yeah, werewolves are associated with this plant. Some stories say that it was used to treat those suffering from lycanthropy, being a werewolf. Well, relate that monkshood repels werewolves. And I love this also, this detail that apparently modern magical plant guides advise that carrying monkshood seeds wrapped in lizard skin grants the power to become invisible. I mean, all you need is some monkshood seeds, some lizard skin, and what could you get to? You could be up
Brilliant.
to all sorts.
That's quite easily accessible as well. It's not like you've got to go on a
Yeah,
quest to get a phoenix feather or something.
yeah, exactly. I want to give that a try. I really want to give that a try. I mean, I'm going to be the person arrested in M&S for stealing stuff because I thought I was invisible.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, yeah. So there's lots of interesting folklore in there as well, but which was really fun to research.
Really, I bet it was. What made you think of a book like that?
Well, I was approached by the publisher. They wanted to do a book on poisonous plants, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. That sounds great.
Fantastic.
So it wasn't, I mean, the houseplant book was very much my baby, but this was something that I was approached to write. And at the time I was looking for another, or thinking about writing another book, and had some knockbacks on the ideas that I'd submitted. So instead I took up the mantle of this idea, and I really enjoyed writing it. It was great fun. So yeah, it's been really good.
Sounds like it. Sounds amazing. That's definitely one I'm going to get to have a look through. My ears pricked up when I found out you've written an allotment book as well.
Yeah, where's my allotment book? Let me find it, because it's a few years ago now. Where is it? Oh, God. It's deep in my bookshelf. So this is my book on allotments, which came out in 2008. I don't have an allotment anymore. It's called the Allotment Keepers Handbook. You can get the audio book of this, actually. You can buy this secondhand as well, but there's an audio book which is available on all the usual places.
That's what made me think I can listen to it while I'm working.
Yeah, well, this is one of these things that was kind of slightly before, I want to say I was ahead of the trend, but, you know, before a lot of the kind of allotment burst of interest. This came sort of slightly before that. I think 2008, I think, was just before people were going mad, because, and you can tell because I talk in the introduction or in one of the sections about getting an allotment and choosing a plot. And there was a period, and I don't know because I've got out of touch with local allotments now, but there was a period when you didn't get any choice. You were on a waiting list, and then you just took whatever plot was available. But in this, I talk about choosing which plot you want. Well, you know, that may or may not be possible, because allotments have obviously had a huge raise of interest. But yeah, this book kind of, it actually stands the test of time. I'm reading it back. I still sort of stand by it. And what I tried to do was just make it really, really informative, but also quite fun. So I do remember my editor saying, I just love this line. I said something about, something I didn't do about, I think it was not chopping up stuff finely when putting it in the compost heap. And I was like, so sue me, Alan Titchmarsh. And she was like, so I tried to sort of make it amusing and interesting, but also quite practical. It's not particularly illustration heavy. It's not like one of these kind of modern fancy dancy books that's got loads of like glossy photographs in it. It's quite narrative in that sense, but it is also like very practical. So there's all the like jobs for this month, and going through all the kind of key stuff you need to know. I mean, if I ever get an allotment again, I shall be referring to it myself, because I still stand by it as being a useful allotment book. And I do get people saying to me, I've still got your allotment book and I still enjoy it. So yeah, that's quite nice to hear. But seems like a long time ago now. 2000.
Okay, but when you say 2008, it doesn't sound a long time ago, but it's 18 years.
1998 on them, so I don't know what. But I'm that person who's constantly going, no, it's not 2026. It can't be. So it does feel, it does feel recent to me. But this one I wrote while I was at the Guardian. I was at the time I had just I just had my first child, I think, and I then went on to be gardens editor at the Guardian for another 9 years. So this was sort of the start of my garden writing career, this book. So yeah, really, really enjoy writing about, and I still do occasionally write about veg. And I just wrote a piece recently about perennial onions and how much I love perennial onions. I don't grow a lot of traditional veg anymore just because I don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have the space. I've got the
What do you
dry.
mean? You've got the same 24 hours as everybody else?
Yeah, I've got the driest garden on the planet, as I've already said. So I do love the perennial veg instead. But yeah, I mean, I like most people, I've got that dream of, oh, one day when I'm retired, I'll have a big allotment or a big veg patch, and I'm just going to, you know. And I am in fact wearing. Oh, it's dropped off. I've dropped my badge. As anyone who knows me well will know, I always wear a brooch every day, and today's brooch says gardening is not a hobby, it's a post-apocalyptic survival skill. He truly believes. I'm going to put that back on now, just to
Very, on
yeah,
point as well at the moment.
yeah, exactly. We right now, none more than ever, we need our gardening skills. So yeah, I think even if you're not doing it, you need to understand how plants work and how you can grow them. That's yeah,
definitely do.
vital.
Let's not get into politics.
No, let's not. But let's grow stuff. And as I say, for me, it's just the real pleasure of having those the little crops that I do have from the garden are just enormously pleasurable. Like that Bath asparagus every year when it's coming out, and I probably get like 4 or 5 meals out of it. It's not a huge amount, but it's just so pleasurable to be able to pick that and go, I put no work into that. Or
Yeah,
just
lovely.
by the office, I've got a quince tree, and I really love quince.
Oh, nice.
I'm addicted to quince, and when the blossoms come out, I usually have a cry when the blossoms come out because it's so beautiful. But then I love the fruit, and it's just a brilliant harvest. So yeah, I try not to make people feel like they've got to do the conventional, you know, potatoes, onions, and leeks. Nothing wrong with that. But I always try to make people go for the things that they really get pleasure out of, which is the key, really.
Definitely. I'm like that with my little peach tree. It's the best thing I've ever planted. It's just amazing. And just watching it this last few weeks with the flowers all come on, and just it's just amazing. Leaves are all coming now, and then you can't beat it. You cannot beat it.
Yeah, I think that would be my main sort of, like, when I retire, that's my main goal, is just to, and it's probably going to be a bit late by then, but I'm just going to plant loads of trees, fruits and nut trees, just to have like loads of different fruit for whoever comes along next to enjoy as well. I just think it's the most fantastic reward. So yeah, that's my plan.
Good plan, really good plan. But what you should be doing is planting them now, so you can enjoy them when you retire.
Yeah, I know. That's the trouble, isn't it? It's always the finding the time to do these things and the space. I mean, I haven't got enough room for any more trees in my garden now, but yeah, I should try and squeeze a few more in. A nut. I need a nut. What's the best nut to grow, do you think?
I want some nuts, to be honest. I was looking at growing some monkey nuts the other day.
Oh yes, indeed. That is my classic book, the Houseplant Expert by Dr. David Hussain, which was my houseplant Bible as a child. That's in there as you can do as an indoor growing thing. And we like.
And don't matter. I've said to about 3 or 4 people about they grow under the ground, and they all think I'm lying. I said to my wife about it. It was April the 1st the other day, actually. She said stop because she thinks they grow on trees, but obviously they don't.
I know. Or when you show people a picture of what a cashew looks like, how a cashew nut grows, like it's like hangs underneath this fruit. It's just really bizarre. Yeah, nature never fails to amaze me. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe pecan nuts. I think there's a few pecans you can grow. Or walnut, maybe they grow really.
But hazels, I love cob nuts as well. Cob nuts are amazing.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And walnuts. Walnuts grow really easy, don't they? Apparently,
Mm.
I've never grown one, but someone said they grow really easy. Walnut tree.
Very big trees, though.
Yeah, they are very big trees. Yeah, that is very true.
Need
Yeah,
a
but
lot of
surely
space.
you can keep them pruned down, can't you? You don't have to let them get 50 foot.
I guess that the only problem with that is if you're pruning it, I wonder how much fruit you would get off it,
Yeah.
because you're forcing it into a different state to what it would usually grow in.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, yeah, maybe I could live without walnuts, but cob nuts is a good idea, definitely.
Hazelnuts are definitely easy.
I love cob nuts. They're really nice. I remember eating them when we were kids in the trees, sitting in the trees and picking them. It's just amazing,
Yeah,
really.
so good.
Brilliant. Right, Jane, I've had a fantastic hour and
Yeah,
a
sorry,
half.
on there. Apologies.
No, don't apologise. I'll keep going and going, but I know the time's ticking on. And yeah, I want to get all your books, and especially I want to get the one the allotment one. I want to get that in my and deadly one, but I want the one I can listen to.
Yeah,
You have to.
all of them are on audiobook. That's
Oh, are they? Oh, brilliant.
Audiobooks, either from my website or from Audible or Spotify.
Oh, fantastic! I thought it was just the allotment one.
No, it's spoken by me, so you have to put up with my voice.
Oh, good. I was just about to say, if you narrated, then that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. So but I love listening to audiobooks when you're pottering about. So yeah, that's what you can also do.
Yeah, definitely. I shall get those. Yeah, but don't rush off quite yet, because Mark's got some lightning questions for you. If you're right.
That's the way we like to wrap up. So quick fire round. We'll change the first one because it's usually flowers or edibles. We'll go houseplants or outdoor plants.
Oh my God.
Houseplants or outdoor plants? It's got to be houseplants. My first love and true love, houseplants.
Next one, beach or forest?
Forest.
Got to be a forest.
Yeah, a bit of forest, baby.
Definitely. In a text message, what's your go-to emoji?
A green heart.
That's definitely there on mine as well.
Often a green heart, yeah.
It's probably got another meaning for the kids these days.
Probably. I mean, who knows? My children haven't told me off yet, so I'm presuming it's probably not too bad.
If you could only have one snack for the rest of your life, what would it be?
A really nice... I mean, does bread count as a snack? I just want a really nice slice of bread slathered with like really nice butter.
Oh my goodness.
That sounds amazing.
Uncut bread, so you can cut it as thick as you like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Full step.
Definitely.
Beautiful. Favourite day of the week?
Oh, I'm gonna say Saturday, because I usually have I say not very often because it's too expensive, but I go if I'm going to go horse riding, I go horse riding on a Saturday. And aside from gardening, I absolutely love riding horses, so that's my favorite thing to do.
You'll have to come here then. We've got 6.
I'll have you. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I just get such a kick out of it, and it just takes me totally out of myself, and also slightly scares me to death occasionally. As with horses, they can be a little bit unpredictable, but I just really love it. So that on a Saturday I might be doing that, and I'll also just be like enjoying some houseplant repotting and care time. So that's definitely my favorite day.
Yeah, lovely.
Perfect day. Brilliant. Favorite season?
Spring, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's always the winner. Everybody, not everybody, most people go for spring.
I've been well known to have shed a tear on a nice spring day. I'll have a cry.
Yeah, why not? It's lovely.
If you could make one thing disappear from your garden or the gardening world, what would it be?
Fake grass.
Fake grass.
Oh,
my skin crawled.
Oh, it's horrendous, isn't it?
Take it away. It'll be like a rapture of the fake grass. Suddenly people wake up and they're down to bare soil, or whatever abomination is under their fake grass, because it's all going to have just disappeared off the planet. Oh my gosh.
Totally agree. Favorite weed?
I love a bit of hairy bittercress. because it's actually quite tasty and prolific, but it's quite nice in salads and easy to fill up.
As long as you get it before it pings in your
Yeah,
face.
before it pings the seeds out. Yeah.
Today's favourite plant.
I actually brought this with me because I thought you might ask me this question. My today's favourite plant is my Hoya. Oh gosh, I've forgotten the name. My fishtail Hoya, which is just
Look at that.
a really nice plant. It's got these beautiful leaves, which I don't think that you can see the texture on there.
Yeah,
It's a really lovely plant. I grew this from a little cutting. Fishtail Hoya, comes from Southeast Asia. It has not flowered yet. That's the only bad thing about this one. Haven't managed to get it to flower, which is, it'll happen. But yeah, Fishtail Hoya, it's a good one.
It took you nearly an hour to get a Hoya on. That's slacking. I know how much you like Hoyas.
Yeah.
If your plants could talk, what would they say about you?
Please water me more because I'm really mean with water. And a lot of my plants are in, like this peperomia are in terracotta, so my plants are generally thirsty. I'm unusual in the plant world in that regard, that I underwater as a whole. So yeah, they probably want some water.
Favourite garden scent?
Oh, well, I would say like a tomato raised in a greenhouse really takes me back to my granddad's.
Exactly the same.
Like a lovely beefsteak tomato. My granddad, who's mentioned in the allotment book, John Admiral Byng, he had 5 allotments. He built his own greenhouses from scratch, which had their own boiler systems that he built from scratch.
Wow.
What a guy. And I only knew him at the end of his life, and he just had tomatoes at that point. But the smell of those beefsteak tomatoes, it's like Proust Madeleines. It's just sends me right back to childhood.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good choice.
Worst piece of advice ever given? It can be gardening, it can be whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's really tricky. Ice cubes on orchids. Water your orchids with ice cubes. No, don't do that. It's a really stupid idea. You probably won't kill them, but it's just a really silly thing to put it in a gin and tonic. Like, don't waste your
ice cubes.
All you need to do with moth orchids is run them under the tap for about a minute every week, and they'll be fine. So yeah, don't waste your ice on your orchids.
Brilliant.
That advice.
Final one, if you could choose 3 people to garden with, who would they be? And it can be anyone, dead or alive, famous, not famous.
3 people, okay. I would really like to I would have really liked to have gardened with, Marjorie Fish, who wrote We Made a Garden. I think she seemed like a real character. I would have liked to have done some gardening with her because I think her philosophy kind of matches mine about gardening. And I think she was a bit of her husband was a bit of a plonker. And I think, I think I would have liked to meet her. Not that my husband's a plonker, but I would like to spend time gardening with her. Also, I would love to have talked houseplants with Dr. David Hussein and done a little bit of chatting with him. And also, these are really predictable answers, probably, but also I would love to have met and gardened with Christopher Lloyd, just because I think he's quite a prickly, ornery chap who said things as he saw them, and I just love people like that.
Yeah.
I think he would have been really fun to talk to about plants. And I kind of almost did meet him, because when I was at The Guardian, my colleague at The Guardian had met him and knew him, his work at the paper. So yeah, that would be my choices.
Good choices.
Brilliant.
Excellent,
fantastic. Just remind us about your books. What the titles of your books again, please, Jane?
So we've got the Atlas of Deadly Plants, which is the one that's out now, or the most recent one. My self-published book, which is available in all the usual places. If you go to my website and just click on books, they're all there as well. Legends of Belief, and then the Allotment Keepers Handbook. Again, they're all on my website and all available as audiobooks. So yeah,
Fantastic.
hear my dulcet tones.
And we can also hear you every week.
Yeah, On the Ledge has recently come back, so I'm very excited to be bringing that back. And after a pause, and yeah, you can join my Patreon as well. If you haven't had enough of me already on my Patreon, there's even more stuff, like the first ever 50 episodes from back in the day in 2017. So there's loads out there. And I'm just amazed because people aren't sick of the sound of my voice, because people say, I've listened to every single episode 3 times. And you think, really? Are you not sick of me by now? But anyway, yeah, so I just love doing the show. And people say, oh, we must have run out of subjects. No, of course not. There's so much to say.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. Oh, thanks ever so much, Jane. It's been fantastic. No, really, really good.
It's got dark everywhere. Everyone's gone into darkness. I needed more light, but yeah, at least we've had a nice long sunny day to enjoy, and it's been lovely. Thank you, chaps.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much.
Thanks, Jane.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Brilliant.
You can see why she's called the houseplant queen. Wow.
When she just reels off all the Latin names and stuff on her show, it just.
It's not just that, it's the Latin names and how to look after each one, or how to sow the seeds of each one, or take the cutting of each one. It's just so much knowledge there. It's unbelievable.
And we didn't even get onto pests.
No. Save that for another day.
I'll just show you this T-shirt that I got. I think you need this T-shirt.
Life's too short. Tomatoes. To grow boring tomatoes. Definitely. Definitely not growing boring tomatoes.
No room for boring tomatoes.
No.
That is for sure.
Red snooker balls.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
That
was fab.
Really, really good. Enjoyed that.
Where did the hour go? It just flew by.
I know. Blows by, doesn't it? Really, really quick. So you're in Norfolk next week?
I am. Need to figure out if there's a day we can go to. What's it?
Oh, Mr. Gray's.
Go to Alan's.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to have a chat. Have a ring. Give me a ring, and we'll have a chat. See what you're doing.
I think he's really close to there, isn't he?
Not Yarmouth.
But he's on the coast, isn't he?
He is, but right the way around, he's all the way around.
On the other way, is he?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're further up the coast to Yarmouth.
He's north.
Yeah.
What town are you staying in?
I can't remember. It's a Norwich postcode, I think.
Yeah, they all are out there.
Okay.
No,
I'll have a look. But yeah, it's an hour from your house to where we're staying. So
yeah. Alan's is an hour from mine as well.
So we'll have to see how far it is.
Yeah, definitely. Send me the name of the town, and I'll have a look. Right.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, really good show. Welcome, City. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and joining in.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Comments as per usual.
Yeah.
See you next week.
See you, both of us in Norfolk. Ooh.
Same area.
County. See you later. Night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Through the Garden Gate.